Hi everybody, warm greetings to Ananda. I am really happy to be here and I am going to present a case report of Bentol in a patient with H-band factor deficiency. Myself Karthi from CMC Vellore. Factor 12 deficiency. As we all know the name, it implies that factor 12 is deficient. It was first described in the medical literature by Dr. Oscar Reitnoff and Dr. Jane Colopy in the year of 1953 after examining a patient by name John Hageman who had elevated APTT and underwent successful tonsillectomy. Dr. Oscar Davis Retnoff, who was so generous and named this factor 12 deficiency as Hageman factor deficiency after the patient. It is also said to be Hageman triad, where it won't show any symptoms until unless we screen the patient. In 1968, Dr. Oscar Radnoff published in the New England Journal of Medicine, which was one of the world's oldest and most read article journal. He published about the demise of John Hageman. In 1953, the person who underwent successful tonsillectomy came in 1968 with the history of fall from ladder and left hemipelvis fracture. On day 12th on his treatment, he was experiencing shortness of breath. Despite of oxygen supply and cardiac massage, he died in a minute. After his death, his autopsy was done. John Hageman found the root cause of his death was pulmonary embolism. And you can see the picture in the right side, the emboli removed from his pulmonary artery. Dr. Oscar and his team found that factor 12 plays a major role in clotting factor, and also it has elevated the thrombotic risk in case of deficient. And recent studies also showed that factor 12 deficiency has triggered the increased chance of myocardial infarction. When we go into detail, factor 12 is an autosomal recessive disorder disease. It means the two genes is required, one from the father and one from the mother. As we all know, it is a coagulation protein which is necessary for functioning of interaction pathway and also helps in the fibrin formation, which will be further helps in tissue level repair. Abnormally very low level of factor 12 or any factor will results in coagulopathy. When we look into our patient, he is 17-year-old male with aortic aneurysm, history of right middle cerebral artery infarct, and it was resolved, and he underwent thoracoendovascular repair for the aortic aneurysm. A month later, he had embolic repair at zone 3. Zone 3 will be the 2 cm down to left subclavian artery. And now he came with for us Bentol. His aortic aneurysm was still there and his ascending aorta was 5.3 cm. His sinotubular junction was 4 cm and he had normal biventricular function. When we look into his lab report, his factor 12 assay was 36%, which should be supposed to be more than 50%. His baseline ACT was 767 seconds, which was very high. His APTT and mini APTT both were more than 3 minutes, and its PT-INR was normal. His HV was 12 gram and BSA was 1.65 meters square. After a multidisciplinary meet with hematologist, anesthetist, and surgeon, the surgery was planned. CPB was established with standard techniques, membrane oxygenator, blood cardiology delivery system. Delnido was used for myocardial protection. Hemofilter was used for conventional and zero balanced ultrafiltration. Standard cannulation, aorta and SVC IVC for presence of PFO. PFO was closed. Heparinization was done with 3 mg per kg, even the ACT was 767 seconds. Post-heparin, the sample was sent for ACT, anti-10A assay and thromboelastogram. ACT to make sure it is more than 999 seconds. Anti-10A assay to make sure heparin is present in the circulation. TEG to make sure no clot formation. NIR was done since he had infarct. ACT protocol, what we did is when we were at 30 degrees Celsius, we did ACT every 30 minutes, and while we are rewarming we did for every 20 minutes. Whenever ACT comes less than 950 seconds, we have replaced the heparin. The surgery was uneventful. We did Ventol with PFO closure. Post procedure the same thing, protein was reversed. Then the sample was sent for ACT, anti-10A assay, and TEG. ACT was normalized to 800 seconds. Anti-10A was done to make sure no heparin is present in patient circulation. TEG was done to find the clot strength, whether we required cryo or platelet or FFP, and luckily we didn't transfuse any FFP, and only 2 blood were used for the patient. What we found in this single case is like these factor 12 deficiency do not necessarily result in bleeding diathesis. When we look into other articles, there were few reports like they have given 7 ml per kg of FFP to bring down the patient ACT, then they heparinize the patient and they do the surgery. And in our case, we did not do anything like bringing down the ACT. We straight away given heparin, monitored the heparin presence, and surgery was uneventful. The other two things which can be given, like particularly correcting the factor 12 itself, like giving plasma derived factor 12 or recombinant factor 12, which these two are very costly and also not available with us. What we did, the two major diagnostic tests was anti-10A assay and TEG. These two things helped us a lot in making the patient smoother. The patient discharged in and he was asked for the routine follow-up to follow every 3 months to make sure there is no bleeding and he is fine from symptoms. I thank everybody for giving me such opportunity on this ISECT virtual conference. Thank you one and all.